Good evening, happy Wednesday. Welcome to Live and Conversation. My name is Daphnée Antoine. I am your host this evening with my lovely co-host, attorney Daphnée Camilien.
Yes.
Hello, Daphnée.
Hello. Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening. So, Live in Conversation is a weekly show where we come to share news with you, a topic of the day, uh, immigration news, as well as
Yeah.
different legal news, as well as financial literacy to help us all thrive in our life, in our family. So come on in. I see you. Please share this live because we do share important information that maybe somebody may find helpful. So before we start, I do want to get started with a disclosure. So I'm going to allow Attorney Chameleon to share that with us this evening.
Yeah. So before I even start, I'm gonna say if I sound congested, it's because I'm trying to get over a cold, and I also do have to say, nowadays when you get a cold, you're gonna have to tell everybody I don't have COVID. I already
She
know.
does not have COVID, y'all.
Right. I'm just congested, but I don't have COVID. But yeah, so I'm an attorney. René is a financial entrepreneur. Anything we discuss this evening is for information purposes only, as well as entertainment. It does not establish an attorney-client relationship, nor does it establish a financial services relationship with René. So just to put that out there, this is information purposes only. If you want, and for entertainment, if you want one-on-one information or consultation, you can reach out to us individually or to people in the community to serve your needs. But this doesn't establish any type of relationship.
Awesome. So as you all see, when we go to the title, we're going to be discussing kind of like COVID-19 impact in the restaurant business, as well as women working and women in the workplace. So I'm a mom. I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I really had to be a stay-at-home mom because of my children. um, I am a former banker, and I had to voluntarily decide to be a stay-at-home mom. That's part of COVID. However, there is a aftermath impact on women in the workforce with regards to COVID, with regards to lack of childcare. We're also gonna talk about. I read a recent article where maybe some restaurant owners are thinking about requesting visas for immigrants to come work in the businesses. So that's something that we're gonna be talking about. And most recently, Governor Pritzer have the Illinois Childcare Act, where hopefully childcare can be more affordable to parents such as myself and attorney Chameleon. So come on and join the conversation. We would like to know your thought, and especially if you are a mom who had to leave the workplace because of COVID, we would love to maybe hear your story and see how COVID had impacted you in that respect. So let's get started, Attorney Chameleon. Which one you want to get started with first? Maybe
uh,
like the immigrant visa?
yeah.
Yeah.
So do you want to start about the article you read, and I'll tell you a little bit about what I read too.
Yes. So on the article that I read, it's really talking about maybe restaurant owners was feeling obviously the lack of access to employees right now. Some of them believe that many of the restaurant workers had to do something else. Obviously restaurant were closed and they still had to continue to provide for their family, so some of them maybe have go through different profession, which is leaving a lack of employees for the businesses. And as well as employee business owners are still kind of, maybe not, I don't want to say complaining, but then stating how the current unemployment benefit, that they have to compete with it. And then so since the benefit is continuing for workers who lost their job, and then they feel like maybe that's why people are not going back to work. And obviously some of us who are parents, have an issue with childcare. And then so what the article is stating is that some business owners are looking into maybe requesting visas for immigrants to come at the work at in the restaurant, just like farm owners have immigrants come and work in the farms. And then so I would love to know your thought about that. I would love to know, those of you listening, what are your thoughts about that, and maybe see if you read a different article that you want to share with us, Attorney Camillian.
Yeah, I think so I thought it was, we were talking about that earlier, I thought it was like quite interesting that they would try to seek because work overseas, because I mean, just if people even want to look at their backyard and to see what's going on everywhere you go. I know everywhere I go, whether it's like food, it could be like, let's say you went to a fast food restaurant, it could be the grocery store, your local retail store, at Walmart, Marshalls, wherever, everywhere is hiring. Everywhere is hiring. And they're saying like there is a massive demand, right?
Mhm.
And so I thought that was really interesting. And I think them requesting visas for overseas workers, I think is kind of funny. In this recent, when I say funny, humorous, I should say, because when I started doing a little bit of like research on this too, what I thought was very interesting, a lot of the narrative has been these workers, these jobs tend to be sometimes lower paying and sometimes minimum wage jobs, okay? And how the narrative that's been put out in the media is that they would rather be on unemployment because they're making all this money on unemployment, which is not even true, right? Mm-hmm. Unemployment is capped. So even if not every person is not, no one's making big money on unemployment. It's capped. So you may get your weekly, let's say you make $250 a week on unemployment, and then when they had that extra $600 or extra $400, right? That's if you're a person who has a family or apartment, or you're single, or you're just trying to pay your bills and do that. If you got $800 a week for 30, taxes also going to have to be taken out, $3,200, less than that. It's more than what you were making before, but you're not a millionaire. You're not making six figures. You're not making 50,000. You're maybe making 30 or 28,000. So it's the narrative of, they're making all this money. So it's like, you were making $8,000 an hour before, and now you're making, $12 an hour, with unemployment, so, how dare you? So, but when an article I found that was interesting to me, because people aren't going deeper. And this article is really interesting is because they talked about, which made so much sense. They said a lot of these places, some of these places, they may be in a state that doesn't have the same type of restrictions that other states have. So you have people who are not vaccinated or who are not taking precautions, some people believe in vaccinations, some people don't, but who are just not taking any type of precautions whatsoever, who don't care, who may be putting them at risk. So, when you're sitting at home and you can sit and think about, do I want to go back or do I need to go back? Yes. Or is it worth it to put myself at risk? Because whether you have people who believe in vaccinating and not, but you also have people who believe this is actually real and people are getting sick, whether you decide to get vaccinated or not. And so not wanting to put themselves health-wise at risk, I think has been a factor. The other thing that people are not talking about, because these are people that work with the public. The other thing is think about how many videos, I know I've seen a lot of videos where you have these salespeople, these store people who are actually getting in fights with people because they're trying to enforce the company rules of wearing a mask in their establishment. And so the police have been called. Like, you're putting yourself in physical danger because people have such polarizing ideas about wearing a mask. If I'm going to go back to a minimum wage job, there's nothing wrong with that. And then also, am I putting my life at risk, which I didn't expect to put my life at risk when I worked at Walmart, Mm-hmm. So those are factors that people are thinking about. The other big thing about the immigrant thing that I found so fascinating, a lot of the jobs that these type of jobs, a lot of immigrants who first come to the United States who are trying to get on their feet, these are the jobs that they would take, right?
Mhm.
And they often work. Well, what's happened to the immigration system in the last 4 years? It's being dismantled. Immigration to the United States is like almost it's such at a low. They don't have the normal amount of people that would be willing and happily take these jobs at the prices that they're taking them. So now that you don't have these people, now you're asking the other people to take the jobs, and they're not. You had people who had it before. They have their issues, or I would say issues, but they had their reservations, and then now you're asking at the same rate for people to take those jobs. I can see why there's a shortage. I think they need to explore that more.
Most definitely. I mean, like you said, I've seen it as well. Hiring. Okay, but then when we seeing all those hiring requests, and then we seeing the lack of the restaurant saying owners are saying that they have. We have to look deeper into what is the root of the issue.
Right.
Why are people not going back to work if indeed they are not going back to work? Because at the end of the day, like you said, I don't think unemployment is gonna be the end all be all.
Right.
Unemployment benefit is not here to stay forever. And then, so with that being said, I do believe that people are conscious as to how can they support themselves and how can they support their loved ones. And then, so we have to look into the root of the issue, and then so that goes to take us to, okay, how has immigration been impacted this past, I would say, decade.
Right.
uh, and we have to look into a woman in the workplace. And then, so now as we are transitioning to how has COVID impacted women, because woman has been like the most, I would say, the most impacted group
Yeah.
in respect to COVID. And then so women is a large part of the population.
Right.
And so if women are not going back to work, we have to understand why. We have to look into why, and we have to look at, okay, what can be done to encourage people to fill those positions. And so let me have your thought on that, Attorney Chameleon, and then definitely if anybody else want to chime in on the conversation. This is live in conversation where I come in live with Attorney Chameleon every Wednesday at 8:30, so we can discuss maybe things that matter to you, things that matter to us, immigration, legal matters, financial information, ways that we can come together, learn from each other, and thrive together. That's who we are. That's what we do. So come on in, share, comment, like, let us know your opinion.
Yeah, I think they had CNBC has a lot of articles about the impact of COVID and women in the workplace, and they were anticipating that this could have set women back in the workplace years, right? And because so many women had to quit, because when I mean when you have different categories. You had women who were already, for example, single mothers, and if their child was not working, I'm sorry, not going to school because of COVID, who was going to take care of their child? Daycare facilities were forced to close too, unless it was like essential workers. So you had that situation, like one who's going to take care of the child. They didn't have resources to do that. So you had a lot of women who had to give up employment for that. And then also, depending on the type of job they have, not everybody had jobs where you could work from home, right? And most people, didn't. So you had that, and then you also had the women who had a partner, whether it was male or female, they had a partner, and then they had to evaluate who made more money, who could sustain the family, if one person had to give up their employment, because it was huge impact on women. Childcare tends to fall to women. That's a whole other thing about sexism or whatever you want to do, talk about. But it, I don't want to go down that category. But yeah, it had a huge impact. Um, the COVID had a huge impact on women, and I don't know if we're going to feel or fully understand, for years to come, what's the final impact when we're out of COVID. You're on mute.
Yes, most definitely. We need to look into how we can better support women as I would say, as a nation,
Right.
because at the end of the day, we carry, I would say, some of the biggest burden when it comes to raising a family. We have so many walls. We
Right.
have so many walls, and even before COVID, I don't think there was enough support for working mothers. And
Right.
then so now, and I guess now people can really understand that, okay, women, do carry a lot of the workforce. And then so if we are not gonna have I guess system in place where we can support women, and we can support raising family, we can support having a family, and we can support, providing living wages,
Right.
not poverty wages.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, if people you have a family to raise, and in a lot of time, like all those services, it's mostly women, like cashiers is mostly women. And then so we have to be able to have system in place to support women, and to support them raising family, and to be able to be fair
Right.
and compassionate.
Right.
And I had to stay home prior to COVID with my children, because it's it's really, my children are not burdens. I love my children. So I
Right.
will stay home with them any day. But at the end of the day, if we want to have a society where we can have workers, we have to put system in place to support those workers. So I agree completely.
Yeah.
Um, so we do have 5 minutes left. I thank you, those of you who join us. I see the like. So I appreciate that. So we want to also talk about, kind of like, so we talk a little bit about immigration,
Hmm.
and now we want to talk about maybe DACA. So talk to us a little bit about the current status of DACA. Maybe some of us who may not know exactly what DACA is, and how it's being threatened right now, and how it's gonna potentially affect people's life, and which is gonna be increase the shortage of employees that business owners need.
Right. So what's going on with DACA? DACA is deferred action for childhood arrivals. Those are the kids who came here undocumented or overstays when they were children, and they've had a lot of support to allow these people who don't have status in the United States to get some type of work authorization, and to be able to kind of, what they say, come out of the shadows. So DACA was enacted under Obama, and then under Trump, he tried to get rid of DACA. There was a lawsuit. There's been lawsuits back and forth. Biden administration reenacted DACA. So what that meant is, if you qualify for DACA, you apply for it, you would get work authorization. You would be allowed to work and you'd have to renew every 2 years, right? And
Mhm.
so, and then just made things easier. You had a lot of kids. A lot of these kids were high school, college kids. They graduate. They want to work, in their profession. DACA was allowing them to work in their profession. So they could still renew, but there was a group of people who never got DACA who wanted to get DACA. So when Biden reenacted DACA, then that allowed that allowed the people to who never had DACA to get it. So what happened now is, this past Friday, um, a federal judge in Texas said that DACA was unlawful and blocked the Biden administration, from allowing new people to apply for DACA. right? Huge blow to DACA. DACA had before, I don't know if it's still the case, but for a long time, DACA had support from both sides, from the Republicans and the Democrats, because I think people were sympathetic to that, being children that came in, who were, undocumented or overstays, and they didn't have control over that. So, so people want to help these kids and young adults. So it's a huge blow. A lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people. So it's a really huge blow to DACA. So people who already have DACA, you have an approved application, everything is good to go. You can continue you will still have DACA. You can renew DACA right now. But the people who wanted to apply for DACA, hadn't got around to apply for DACA, those people, they can no longer, as of now, they can't get DACA. The Biden administration, I think Kamala Harris is going to be meeting with some DACA recipients soon, some organizations to kind of talk about what they're trying to do. Biden administration has said that he's going to do something to try to strengthen DACA. People want a lot of organizations and DACA recipients, they want a pathway to citizenship. There's supposed to be a bill. They're trying to add that to the infrastructure bill. There's a lot of that stuff. So people just have to stay tuned. If you never got the opportunity to get DACA, you want to get DACA, I still tell those people, because to get all their information, go get the application, fill it out. Don't send anything in because it won't be accepted. But just get ready, because the Biden administration is going to appeal this court case, and then we'll see what happens. Right? This may go all the way to the Supreme Court. We still will see what happens. Just prepare yourself, because if you have another small window, you want to make sure you get in on that batch. So, because things are changing all the time in immigration.
Yeah, most definitely. And then so I just want to do a follow-up question. Is obviously right now you're saying that the suitcase saying, okay, DACA is constitutional.
Lawsuit.
And it's meaning, the lawsuit, right? And then so right now, I guess, people who potentially could get DACA cannot apply as of right now. Okay. And then so what would you say, like, to somebody who says, well, DACA basically encourage people to illegally come to the US? Like, how would you reply to a comment like that?
It's just not right. It's not. I always say it's not right. It's not correct. In order to be eligible for DACA, you had to have been in the United States. I think it was. I have to look at 2012. It's not if a kid comes here now, like I don't know, like a 15-year-old kid comes here now in 2021, they're not eligible for DACA. Okay. There's a very strict criteria. You have to show that you were in the United States for a continuous amount of time. There's a lot of factors that go into it. Not everybody qualifies for DACA. Can't have a criminal background, extensive criminal, or you can't have felonies. You have to be in school or have your GED, military. There's so many things so not everybody even qualifies for DACA. So nobody coming in within the last couple of years would have qualified for DACA anyway. So this is for people who have already been in the United States, who have been in the shadows. Yeah. So no, that's just not correct.
Okay. And then so right now, if not DACA, then what is the alternative?
For the people who qualify?
Yes. Or what are you proposing?
Well, if you know you qualify, so one of the things is because you have to prove continuous presence in the United States. So I'll give you a typical DACA person came here when they were little. They went to school here. They went to church here. They went to the doctors here. All that is a record. So when I say get yourself prepared, get all of that in a packet and let it sit there with your application. So that if something opens up, you can run and do it. That's what, what else? There's migrant workers, TPS, temporary protected status, right? Those people, and there's also DACA, and there's essential workers. Those are all potential bills that they're trying to introduce to give those people a pathway to citizenship. Pathway to citizenship means that give them an opportunity to get a green card so that in the future, one day after that, they can become a citizen. So you just have to be on the lookout for that. That's what I would tell them. If they're eligible for temporary protected status, depending on where they're from, there's countries, Venezuela, Yemen, there's been countries that have been added, so if they're from one of those countries, they can go that route of doing TPS. If not, if they're a migrant worker or they're, an essential worker. Essential worker is pretty broad. It's not just like it's from fast food to grocery to hospital to, there was like so many daycare workers. There were so many different professions that were listed, and they'll probably be like, that's going to be such a broad category. So I would just be on the lookout for that as well.
Yeah, yes, definitely. You answer my question. Maybe I didn't frame it correctly, and that's because if DACA is being, I don't want to use the word attack, but if DACA is being dismantled right now, and then there's so many people who's currently, I guess, using DACA to continue their lives, to be able to work, to be able to go to school, and if we are not saying that it's unconstitutional, then what are they offering? That's my question.
Right. So
what is the alternative?
Right. So
they are offering.
Right. So the people. So we have to separate the people who already have it versus the people who don't have it. For the people who already have it that are using it, right, they can keep using it. But let's say they get rid of it completely, right? You're right. That's why there's advocates. There's tons of organizations, and there's lots of advocates, right, that are fighting for something to be done for DACA. Something to be done for people who are eligible for DACA. How they're going to figure that out, what they're going to do to make sure they get as much people as possible, I don't know yet. I would just tell people, I know that they're asking the Biden administration to come up with a permanent solution to DACA so this doesn't keep happening. And, people get, I wouldn't say comfortable, but people rely on this, even if they don't have it for 2 years, and then they are like now living in fear again because
even pause.
Right, because they know there's this lawsuit out. For those people, I just tell them they can go to their local congressperson, say, they can say, if they don't want to say that they are a DACA recipient, they can say they support DACA and ask what they're doing. If they know that their overwhelming, constituents are for DACA, you're hoping that they speak up too. But you're right. What do you do? There's a lot of people, like I said, who are for DACA. I do believe something, I can't guarantee, but I do believe something will be done for people who are DACA recipients. What it is, before Biden leaves power, I think something will be done. I don't think they're going to be left hanging, especially because I just don't think it's going to be like, oh, well, it's over. No, something will be done.
It's like what happened,
Right.
Yeah, and that's people's life is too invested in that right now.
Right.
Okay. So let's go back real quick to women in the workforce and how we talked about what's being done to facilitate women going back to work. And we talked about the Illinois Childcare Act that Governor Pritzer, right?
Right.
Is, I guess, offering $1 childcare. And so what is the reality of that? And maybe we can talk about, maybe is that something that people are going to be qualified for, and how will that work? And I'm not sure, I'm just putting out there if you read anything about that, and we can discuss that. If not, then we can do that later at another time as well.
Right. I know just a little bit about it. I know that I guess it's something that they had proposed.
Like an initiative.
Yeah, that it was like during COVID, but it's now been extended indefinitely, or he wants it to be extended indefinitely. What the cutoff is, I don't know. As far as financials, I know NPR did a whole, I I don't say expose, but they did a story on it,
A
right?
segment on it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know the specifics as far as like what the. I know it has something to do. They look at the poverty line. They look at how much people make over and under. I know, I know, I know, I know. Renee is laughing because you literally the poverty line when a lot of these things say this is the threshold. It's like a family of 4 that makes $10,000 a year, and you're like, that's like $5 an hour. Like,
Yeah.
so if you make more than $5 an hour, you're excluded. So it's like, come on. So I don't know what it is.
Like we need to redefine poverty.
It's true.
Can we all agree on what poverty is? Because no one is willing to go to work. First of all, you're leaving your child.
Right.
Okay, so I am leaving my kid to go make a living, and then the whole money that I make, I hand it to the care worker.
Right.
And I'm not saying I am not against paying care worker the due. I'm not against paying them that.
Right.
Okay. But what I am saying is that it's either people can be able to work job that actually afford, so they can afford to go to work, make a living, and still be able to pay for childcare.
Yeah.
Not choose one or the other.
Right. Which is a lot of times what we have to do because it's just childcare is so expensive.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So we definitely we have to definitely factor that when we're talking about poverty.
Right. We should probably we should circle back and come back with that next week to see what the actual guidelines are.
Exactly.
See if it's actually feasible. But that's a really good point about just revisiting the poverty guidelines for everything. They do that for medical care. They do that for a lot of things, and it's
emergency food, all of that.
They do that for Medicare. For when people are older trying to get assistance. It's pretty ridiculous.
Yes, it's like you make $1 over. It's like, you ain't poor. Technically,
it almost forces you to be like one or two. Like either you work and you say you make 0, or you don't. I'm sorry, you don't work or you work, because I mean $5 an hour is not even possible. I guess if you're a waitress or waiter, but then at the same time you make tips. I guess if you don't declare it, I don't know, but you're not supposed to do that because the IRS. We're talking about the IRS. I don't know who would be able to do that.
No. And plus too, we can also look into how that affect, building wealth. Especially in the Black community.
Right.
And so this thing is really. It's not like a one facet issue. It's a multifaceted issue. Right. It affects everything, and believe it or not, it also affects the economy, because if people are not working, obviously, business owners are requesting for employees right now.
Right.
So which means there is a need for workers, but workers are saying that, well, if I go to work, I'm just gonna be poor.
I mean, if you
need money is going to daycare,
right, which doesn't make any sense. Yeah, it's and you're right. You can't even try to get ahead a little bit, right? Because meaning that you are able to pay your bills and even able to save just a little bit at the end. You're not even able to do that with these situations. Yeah.
So sideway, we didn't talk about that. Executive chair, his executive chair, not CEO anymore, Jeff Bezos, flew to space yesterday. He successfully had his 10-minute
space exploration.
Yes, exploration. Okay.
Yes.
And so there's a lot of, I guess, Twitter messages in regards to how that money could have been spent
Oh,
a
oh,
different
that's not what
way.
I thought you were gonna say. Go ahead.
And then so I mean, like, I am not against anyone building a company and building wealth
Mm-hmm.
and to be able to use your money how they choose to, because at the end of
Mm-hmm.
the day, if you make your money, it's your right to use it how you choose to. But then
Mm-hmm.
I see a comment from Bernie Sanders, AOC, who else? Who else? I see a few of the comments about how he doesn't pay taxes, or he barely pay any taxes, and how
Mm-hmm.
that money could have been, used to actually pay. Oh, you know why this conversation is being said right now is because he did thank the Amazon workers and customers for him being able to do the space
He,
trip.
he made his smart comment, or maybe we're all taking it as a smart
Yeah,
comment.
maybe
That's
we
what I thought
are.
you were gonna say. Like, thank you,
Maybe it
dummy.
wasn't intentional.
That's right. Thank you,
Maybe it
dummy,
was. I don't know.
for paying for my little stuff. That's why people were like,
Yes.
"What?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so yeah. So what is our thought about because okay, some people say CEO business owners the expanding the economy. Okay, they're creating jobs.
Mhm.
This is their way of paying taxes. But is it really? Is creating job your way of paying tax,
Oh no,
or
because these
is
people are
paying
making
people a fair due? It's what should be is the right thing to do.
well. Nobody gets paid their fair due. I mean,
Let's just, I don't want to say nobody because nobody is a free statement. It's a blanket statement,
it
right?
is. So I would say 98% of
Yeah.
98% of people. I can't think of the 2% off the top of my head, but I'm gonna give a 2% leeway. 98% of people don't get paid their fair due. So
Okay.
I say that to say we could go from high to not high. So let's go from um Walmart worker who, let's say, happens to be making $15 an hour, right? Okay, $15 an hour. Somebody might be like, that's a lot. They're being paid $15 an hour because they're being able to generate Walmart $45 an hour from their work, right? So Walmart's not losing, and they're
Not at
profiting off of
all.
that person. But the person also is able to make money, so they win too, right? We go from that into, let's go to, I'm a basketball fan. I'm excited about Milwaukee Bucks winning last night, and let's go to Giannis, who had signed the Supermax deal, and he got 200 and I can't remember if it was $26 million for 5 years, which is what, roughly, like, I can't think off the top of my
Almost five point something. No,
50,
we said 26, right? You said 26.
226 million for 5 years.
Oh, my bad. No,
Right.
I heard you said 26.
Right. So it's like roughly
286.
226. So it's
226 for 5 years. Let me do this
right.
math real quick.
Okay, I was gonna say it's over 40 million a year, but I mean you could do the math if it's over 40. So I say that to say, how much is it? You get it?
I didn't do it yet. That's what math for me right now.
Okay, so I think it's I can't think right after.
So that's 45.2.
Okay, so it's 45.2 million a year. Okay, if they're willing to give you $45.2 million a year, you're making them $400 million a year. Mm-hmm. You are making them that much money, right? So that's what I say. Like, are we now? That's an extraordinary amount of money, right? For entertainment, that's a whole other thing, right?
Yeah, but, that's a whole other conversation.
A whole other conversation, right? But I just going to say when I say that, like this. No, people who don't pay their, like, Jeff Bezos is using, uses his business. They have tricks, as far as ways to not pay their. They probably pay taxes. They pay employee taxes.
It was like,
but they don't pay.
No, it's talking about. I think it's personal taxes and Amazon taxes. It was like what they said. It was like 1.1%. Okay, but again, these are not my research. I believe this is what one of the posts shared. So
Okay.
1.1% taxes, like based on what he paid. I think he paid 5 billion, something like. Again, I don't have all the numbers,
Right.
but it goes to 1.1%. Yeah.
No. No, I think they should pay their fair share. You know, eh, they're benefiting off of everything, right? So they no, they should pay their fair share.
And I guess, and the thing is not just they, it's like everybody pay your fair share. That
Right.
includes, the person who's making 30,000 to the person making 300 billion.
Right.
If everyone paid a fair share, then I'm not saying there's not money for different resources, but maybe there can be, resources such as childcare for working women,
Right.
working mothers, working. I don't want to be sexist because those dads too who
Oh,
have children
sure.
that they take care of.
Right.
And so
But
I think there's gonna be more resources in the nation, so that we can all live and thrive together. Because nobody's asking for charity, nobody's asking for
right.
a handout. Basically, what people are saying is that I'm willing to go to work, I'm willing to provide for myself, I'm willing to provide for my family, but at the end of the day, don't just squeeze me to the last drop.
Right. That's true. That's very true. Yeah.
Okay, that has been my little rant and live conversation. I appreciate all of you who's watching live and those of you who's gonna be tuning in on the replay. Feel free to put live and replay. So join the conversation. We're here live every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. to discuss topic of the day, legal matters, immigration matters, and financial matters. So I encourage you to reach out to Attorney Daphnée Camilien. Her number is below at 847-410-9022. Again, that's 847 410-9022. Obviously, for those of us in the Haitian community, Haiti has been granted CPS. We are still waiting for the guidelines, but that does not mean that you're just gonna sit and wait. Get into contact with Attorney Chameleon, so that you can get started to get prepared for when the guidelines are come out. You will be ready to just start living and working and earning and making a life for yourself and for your family. And so, if you have any other legal questions, family matters that you need an attorney, I highly suggest that you reach out to Attorney Chameleon at 847-410-9022. I'm also showing my husband business. We are co-owners of AJP Unlimited LLC. We are in the Chicago area. Obviously, it is a courier and moving services. So if that's what you need right now, if you are a business and you need a courier service to you know be able to service your clients, go ahead and reach out to AJP Unlimited. My husband name is James Antoine at 847-262-1759. Or if you are currently moving, maybe you need to just move an item and you need somebody who can help you with that, he can help with that also. And as always, let you know about thrivewithlane.com, where you can have learn resources and that you can use to thrive in your business. And the website is thrivewithlane.com, which is an affiliate link at no additional cost to you. Anything that you would like to add, Attorney Chameleon, before we call it an evening?
No, just that we will see you next week.
We will see you next week. Feel better. Uh, and that's it for tonight. This is Daphnée René Antoine and Attorney Daphnée Camillion signing out with live and conversation. Have a good one, y'all.
Bye.